Introduction to conflict mediation. Conflict mediation is a structured, interactive process where an impartial third party assists disputing parties in resolving conflict through communication and negotiation. It offers a voluntary and confidential alternative to adversarial processes like litigation, focusing on empowering parties to reach mutually acceptable solutions. This approach emphasizes collaborative problem-solving, allowing individuals to maintain control over the outcome. Effective mediation can preserve relationships, reduce stress, and provide more creative and durable agreements than court-imposed decisions. Understanding its core principles is crucial for anyone seeking to facilitate constructive dialogue and resolution. The role of a mediator is not to judge or impose a solution, but to guide the conversation, clarify issues, and help parties explore their underlying interests. Mediators create a safe and neutral environment where open communication can flourish, even amidst high emotional tension. This introductory module will lay the groundwork for understanding the fundamental concepts and the significant impact of mediation in various personal and professional contexts. It sets the stage for developing the practical skills necessary to become an effective mediator. Understanding conflict, definitions and types. Conflict is an inherent part of human interaction, arising when two or more parties perceive their interests, goals, or values to be incompatible. It can manifest in various forms, from minor disagreements to intense disputes, and can occur at interpersonal, intergroup, or international levels. Recognizing the diverse definitions of conflict helps in approaching each situation with appropriate strategies. Understanding that conflict is not always negative, but can be a catalyst for change and growth, is a fundamental shift in perspective for effective mediation. It is essential to differentiate between healthy disagreement and destructive confrontation to guide parties towards constructive outcomes. Conflicts are often categorized by their underlying causes, which can include relationship conflicts, stemming from strong emotions, misperceptions, or poor communication; data conflicts, arising from lack of information, misinformation, or differing interpretations of data; interest conflicts, where parties compete over perceived or actual incompatible interests; structural conflicts, caused by oppressive patterns of human relationships, power dynamics; or external constraints, value conflicts, involving differing beliefs or ideologies. Identifying the specific type of conflict is the first step towards selecting the most suitable mediation approach and intervention strategies. Sources and dynamics of conflict. Conflicts rarely have a single cause. They typically arise from a complex interplay of factors. Common sources include scarce resources, differing values or beliefs, communication breakdowns, and unresolved past grievances. Misunderstandings, personal biases, and cultural differences also significantly contribute to the escalation of disputes. Recognizing these multifaceted origins is essential for a mediator to effectively unpack the layers of a conflict. It allows for a more holistic understanding of the situation, moving beyond surface-level disagreements to address the root causes. A thorough analysis of these sources informs the strategic interventions a mediator might employ. The dynamics of conflict describe how a dispute evolves and escalates over time. This includes patterns of interaction, emotional responses, and the shifting perceptions parties hold of each other. Conflicts often follow a predictable escalation cycle, starting with minor disagreements and potentially leading to entrenched positions and destructive behaviors. Factors such as power imbalances, external pressures, and the involvement of additional parties can further complicate these dynamics. Understanding these patterns enables mediators to anticipate challenges, de-escalate tensions, and guide parties towards more constructive engagement. It is about recognizing the dance of conflict and finding ways to change its rhythm. Benefits of effective conflict resolution. Effective conflict resolution offers a multitude of benefits for individuals, organizations, and communities. It transforms potentially destructive disputes into opportunities for growth and stronger relationships. By addressing conflicts constructively, parties can achieve more sustainable and tailored solutions than those imposed by external authorities. This process often leads to increased understanding, improved communication skills, and a greater sense of empowerment among participants. Furthermore, successful resolution can prevent future conflicts by addressing root causes and establishing better communication channels. It fosters an environment of mutual respect and cooperation, which is vital for long-term stability and productivity. Beyond individual gains, organizations benefit from reduced litigation costs, increased employee morale, and enhanced productivity when conflicts are managed effectively. Communities experience greater social cohesion and reduced tensions, leading to a more harmonious environment. Effective conflict resolution also promotes innovation by encouraging diverse perspectives and problem-solving approaches. It builds resilience within systems, enabling them to navigate future disagreements with greater ease and confidence. Ultimately, investing in conflict resolution skills yields significant returns in terms of peace, efficiency, and overall well-being. What is mediation? Role of the mediator. Mediation is a voluntary and confidential process where a neutral third party, the mediator, facilitates communication and negotiation between disputing parties. The primary goal is to help parties reach a mutually acceptable agreement, rather than imposing a decision. Mediators do not take sides, offer legal advice, or make judgments about who is right or wrong. Their role is to manage the process, ensure fair communication, and assist parties in exploring options for resolution. This distinction from arbitration or litigation is crucial, as mediation empowers parties to retain control over the outcome, fostering greater ownership of the solution. It is a process built on self-determination and informed consent. The mediator's role encompasses several key functions: facilitating communication by ensuring each party has an opportunity to speak and be heard, managing emotions and de-escalating tension to create a constructive environment, identifying underlying interests and needs, moving beyond stated positions, helping parties generate and evaluate various options for resolution, drafting clear and comprehensive agreements that reflect the parties' decisions. The mediator acts as a guide, an active listener, and a process manager, employing various techniques to move the parties towards a constructive dialogue and a sustainable resolution. Impartiality and neutrality are paramount to the mediator's credibility and effectiveness. Core principles of mediation. Mediation is guided by several core principles that ensure its effectiveness, fairness, and ethical integrity. These principles serve as the foundation for the mediator's conduct and the overall structure of the process. Understanding and upholding these tenets is critical for any aspiring or practicing mediator. They distinguish mediation from other forms of dispute resolution and contribute to its unique ability to foster lasting agreements. Adherence to these principles builds trust and credibility, which are essential for parties to engage openly and constructively in the process. These principles are not merely guidelines, but fundamental pillars. Key principles include voluntariness. Parties participate willingly and can withdraw at any time. Confidentiality. Discussions and information shared during mediation are kept private. Impartiality. The mediator remains unbiased and does not favor any party. Neutrality. The mediator has no personal interest in the outcome of the dispute. Self-determination. Parties retain control over the decision-making process and the terms of any agreement. Informed consent. Parties make decisions based on a full understanding of the facts and implications. These principles collectively create a safe, fair, and empowering environment conducive to successful conflict resolution. Active listening techniques. Active listening is a foundational skill for mediators, involving fully concentrating on what is being said, both verbally and non-verbally, rather than just passively hearing the message. It requires the mediator to suspend judgment, focus entirely on the speaker, and demonstrate understanding. This technique helps parties feel heard and validated, which is crucial for de-escalating emotions and building trust in the mediation process. By actively listening, mediators can uncover underlying interests, clarify misunderstandings, and identify key issues that need to be addressed. It is a powerful tool for fostering empathy and creating a safe space for dialogue. Empathy and perspective taking. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, a critical skill for mediators. It involves putting oneself in another person's shoes to grasp their experiences, motivations, and emotional state without necessarily agreeing with their actions. Perspective taking goes hand in hand with empathy, requiring the mediator to actively consider the situation from each party's viewpoint. These skills enable mediators to build rapport, validate emotions, and help parties feel truly understood, which is essential for de-escalation and constructive dialogue. Without empathy, mediators risk appearing detached or judgmental, hindering the trust necessary for successful resolution. Mediators utilize empathy and perspective-taking to bridge communication gaps by rephrasing statements in a way that resonates with the other party. Identify underlying interests and needs that may be obscured by strong emotions or rigid positions. Help parties recognize the validity of each other's feelings, even if they don't agree with the actions. Facilitate a shift from blame to shared understanding, fostering a more collaborative mindset. By demonstrating genuine empathy, mediators can model this behavior for the parties, encouraging them to also consider each other's perspectives. This shift is often the turning point in moving from conflict to resolution. Nonverbal communication in conflict. Nonverbal communication plays a significant role in conflict situations, often conveying more than spoken words. It includes body language, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and even tone of voice. Mediators must be highly attuned to these cues, as they can reveal unspoken emotions, underlying intentions, and levels of engagement or discomfort. Ignoring nonverbal signals can lead to misinterpretations and missed opportunities to address critical issues. Understanding these subtle messages allows a mediator to gauge the true emotional climate of the room and respond appropriately, even when parties are verbally expressing something different. It is a crucial layer of communication. Mediators use nonverbal communication in two key ways: observing, paying close attention to the party's nonverbal cues to understand their true feelings and reactions; sending, consciously using their own nonverbal signals to convey impartiality, trustworthiness, and active listening. An open posture, consistent eye contact, and a calm demeanor from the mediator can help de-escalate tension and encourage parties to feel safe. Conversely, a mediator's closed-off posture or distracted gaze can inadvertently undermine trust. Mastering the interpretation and appropriate use of nonverbal cues is essential for effective process management and building rapport in mediation. Effective questioning and reframing. Effective questioning is a powerful tool for mediators to gather information, explore perspectives, and guide parties towards constructive dialogue. Open-ended questions encourage elaboration and deeper reflection, moving beyond simple yes or no answers. Probing questions help uncover underlying interests, needs, and assumptions that might be hidden beneath stated positions. Strategic questioning can also challenge assumptions, explore consequences, and help parties consider new possibilities for resolution. The art of asking the right questions at the right time is central to a mediator's ability to facilitate meaningful progress and uncover the true dynamics of the conflict. Reframing is the technique of restating a party's negative or accusatory statement in a more neutral, constructive, or positive light. For example, changing "you always ignore my needs" to "it sounds like you feel your needs haven't been met." This technique helps to de-escalate emotional language and reduce defensiveness, shift focus from blame to problem-solving, highlight shared interests or common ground, reframe positions into underlying needs. By skillfully reframing, mediators can transform hostile exchanges into opportunities for understanding and collaboration, making the path to resolution clearer and more accessible for all parties involved. Managing difficult conversations. Mediators frequently encounter difficult conversations characterized by high emotions, entrenched positions, and personal attacks. Effectively managing these moments is crucial for maintaining a productive mediation environment. This involves setting clear boundaries, interrupting destructive patterns, and redirecting focus back to the issues at hand. A mediator must remain calm and composed, modeling appropriate behavior even when parties are highly agitated. The ability to navigate these challenging interactions without taking sides or becoming overwhelmed is a hallmark of an experienced mediator. It requires a delicate balance of firmness and empathy to keep the process on track. Strategies for managing difficult conversations include establishing and enforcing ground rules for respectful communication, using timeouts or caucuses when emotions run too high, interrupting respectfully but firmly when communication becomes unproductive or abusive, reframing inflammatory language into neutral terms, focusing on interests rather than positions to shift the dynamic, validating emotions while redirecting behavior. By employing these techniques, mediators can prevent conversations from derailing, de-escalate tension, and guide parties back to a more constructive and solution-oriented dialogue. This ensures that the mediation process remains safe and effective for all participants. Cultural competence in communication. Cultural competence is essential for mediators working with diverse parties, involving the ability to understand, appreciate, and interact effectively with people from cultures and belief systems different from one's own. Culture influences communication styles, conflict perceptions, negotiation approaches, and expectations of justice. A culturally competent mediator recognizes that what is considered appropriate or respectful in one culture may be offensive in another. This awareness helps prevent misunderstandings, build trust, and tailor the mediation process to be inclusive and effective for all participants. It is about acknowledging and valuing diversity in all its forms. To enhance cultural competence, mediators should research and understand the cultural backgrounds of the parties involved, be aware of their own cultural biases and assumptions, adapt communication styles, such as direct versus indirect communication and nonverbal cues, respect different approaches to problem-solving and decision-making, be flexible in structuring the mediation process to accommodate cultural norms. By demonstrating cultural sensitivity, mediators can create a more welcoming and effective environment, ensuring that all parties feel respected and understood. This leads to more equitable and sustainable resolutions that honor the diverse perspectives present. Pre-mediation, intake and assessment. The pre-mediation phase, encompassing intake and assessment, is critical for setting the stage for a successful mediation. During intake, the mediator gathers initial information from each party, typically through separate phone calls or meetings. This involves understanding the nature of the dispute, identifying the parties involved, and assessing their willingness to mediate. The mediator also explains the mediation process, its principles of confidentiality and voluntariness, and clarifies their neutral role. This initial contact helps to manage expectations and build preliminary rapport with each individual, ensuring they understand what mediation entails. Assessment involves evaluating the suitability of the case for mediation and identifying any potential barriers or safety concerns. The mediator considers factors such as the power dynamics between the parties, the emotional state and capacity of each party to participate constructively, any history of violence or abuse that might compromise safety or voluntariness, the legal context and any urgent timelines, the willingness of parties to engage in good faith. Based on this assessment, the mediator decides whether to proceed with mediation, suggests alternative dispute resolution methods, or recommends further preparatory steps. A thorough assessment ensures that mediation is appropriate and safe for everyone involved. Opening statement and ground rules. The mediator's opening statement is a crucial first step in the joint session, serving to welcome the parties, set a positive tone, and explain the mediation process. It clarifies the mediator's role as a neutral facilitator, reiterates the principles of confidentiality and voluntariness, and outlines the structure of the session. This initial address helps to alleviate anxiety, build trust, and ensure that all participants understand what to expect. A clear and confident opening statement establishes the mediator's authority and creates a safe, structured environment for dialogue. It is the first opportunity to instill confidence in the process. Following the opening statement, the mediator establishes ground rules for communication and behavior during the session. These rules are typically agreed upon by all parties and are designed to foster respectful and productive interaction. Common ground rules include listening without interrupting, speaking directly to the issues, not making personal attacks, using I statements to express feelings and needs, being open to exploring solutions, treating each other with respect. These rules provide a framework for constructive dialogue, helping to manage emotions and prevent the conversation from devolving into unproductive arguments. The mediator is responsible for gently enforcing these rules throughout the session, ensuring a fair and equitable process. Information gathering and issue identification. Once ground rules are established, the mediation process moves into the information gathering phase, where each party has an uninterrupted opportunity to tell their story from their perspective. This allows the mediator to gain a comprehensive understanding of the dispute, including historical context, specific incidents, and the impact of the conflict on each individual. The mediator uses active listening and open-ended questions to encourage full disclosure and clarify details. It is crucial for the mediator to remain non-judgmental and ensure both parties feel heard and understood during this critical stage. This phase is about collecting all relevant pieces of the puzzle. Exploring interests and needs. A fundamental principle in mediation is to shift the focus from entrenched positions to underlying interests and needs. Positions are what parties say they want, while interests are the deeper motivations, concerns, fears, and desires that drive those positions. For example, a position might be, I want the car, but the underlying interest could be, I need reliable transportation for my job, or I want to feel respected. Exploring these deeper interests is crucial because they often reveal common ground or alternative solutions that were not apparent when only positions were discussed. This exploration allows for more creative and sustainable agreements. Mediators use various techniques to uncover interests and needs, asking why or why is that important to you, to delve deeper into a party's request, reframing positions into needs. For example, so, Reliable transportation is a key concern for you. Active listening to identify unspoken concerns or emotions, encouraging parties to express their feelings and the impact of the conflict. By understanding what truly matters to each party, the mediator can help them move beyond a win-lose mentality to a win-win or mutually beneficial outcome. This phase is often where the real breakthroughs in mediation occur, as parties begin to see each other's humanity and shared concerns. Generating options for resolution. Once interests and needs are clearly understood, the next crucial step in mediation is to brainstorm and generate a wide range of potential options for resolution. This phase emphasizes creative thinking and collaboration, encouraging parties to think outside the box without immediately evaluating the feasibility of each idea. The goal is to produce as many ideas as possible, fostering a sense of shared ownership in the problem-solving process. Mediators facilitate this by encouraging open dialogue and ensuring that all suggestions are recorded, regardless of their initial perceived value. This brainstorming approach prevents premature judgment and expands the possibilities for agreement. Techniques for generating options include brainstorming. Parties freely suggest ideas without criticism. Asking what-if-we questions to explore hypothetical scenarios. Building on each other's ideas to create new possibilities. Considering different timeframes or resources. Looking at external benchmarks or industry standards for inspiration. The mediator's role is to encourage creativity, maintain a positive and open atmosphere, and ensure that all voices are heard. By generating a diverse pool of options, parties increase their chances of finding a solution that addresses their core interests and leads to a mutually satisfactory outcome. This phase is about expanding the pie before dividing it. Negotiation and bargaining strategies. Once a broad range of options has been generated, the mediation process shifts to negotiation and bargaining, where parties evaluate the feasibility and desirability of each option. This phase involves a more focused discussion on how specific options might meet their interests and needs, and what compromises might be necessary. Mediators guide this process by helping parties assess the pros and cons of each option, consider the consequences of not reaching an agreement, and explore trade-offs. The goal is to move from a list of possibilities to a concrete, workable solution that both parties can accept. It requires careful consideration and strategic thinking. Effective negotiation and bargaining strategies in mediation include focusing on interests, not positions, to find common ground, prioritizing options that offer mutual gains, using objective criteria, e.g., market value, legal precedents, to evaluate options fairly, considering the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, BATNA, and worst alternative to a negotiated agreement, WATNA, for each party, making proposals that are clear, specific, and reasonable. The mediator's role is to facilitate a fair and balanced negotiation, ensuring that power imbalances do not unduly influence the outcome. They help parties articulate their needs, make informed decisions, and move towards a mutually satisfactory agreement, often through a series of proposals and counter-proposals. Caucus. Private sessions with parties. A caucus is a private, confidential meeting between the mediator and one of the parties, held separately from the other party. This technique is employed when joint sessions become unproductive, emotions are too high, or a party needs to discuss sensitive information they are unwilling to share in front of the other. Caucuses provide a safe space for parties to vent frustrations, explore their true interests more deeply, and strategize without the pressure of the other party's presence. The information shared in a caucus remains confidential unless the party explicitly grants permission for the mediator to share specific details with the other side. This confidentiality is paramount. Mediators use caucuses for several strategic purposes: to de-escalate intense emotions and allow a party to regain composure, to clarify misunderstandings or gather additional confidential information, to help a party explore their BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, or WATNA, worst alternative to a negotiated agreement. To test the reality of a party's proposals or positions, to help a party develop new options or consider compromises they might not voice in a joint session. Caucuses are a powerful tool for overcoming impasses and moving the mediation forward, but they must be used judiciously and with strict adherence to confidentiality to maintain trust and impartiality. Breaking impasse and overcoming obstacles. Impasse occurs when parties reach a deadlock, unable to make further progress towards an agreement. This is a common challenge in mediation, often stemming from entrenched positions, emotional barriers, or a perceived lack of viable options. Mediators must be skilled in recognizing the signs of impasse and employing strategies to break through these obstacles. Allowing an impasse to persist can lead to frustration and the breakdown of the mediation process. The mediator's ability to creatively intervene and re-energize the discussion is crucial at these critical junctures, transforming stagnation into renewed progress. Strategies for breaking impasse include taking a break or calling a caucus to allow parties to cool down and reflect, reframing the issues or proposals in a new light to shift perspective, focusing on small, achievable agreements to build momentum, exploring the consequences of no agreement, BATNA, WATNA, to motivate further negotiation, bringing in outside experts or objective criteria to inform decision-making, suggesting a different mediator or process if the current one is truly stuck. By employing a range of these techniques, mediators can help parties overcome resistance, find new pathways forward, and ultimately move towards a resolution. It requires patience, creativity, and strategic thinking to navigate these challenging moments effectively. Dealing with power imbalances. Power imbalances are a common and significant challenge in mediation, occurring when one party has significantly more influence, resources, or authority than the other. This can stem from differences in financial resources, legal knowledge, social status, or emotional strength. If unaddressed, power imbalances can undermine the voluntariness and fairness of the mediation process, leading to an agreement that is not truly equitable. Mediators must be acutely aware of these dynamics and actively work to mitigate their negative effects, ensuring that the weaker party feels empowered to participate fully and make informed decisions. It is a critical ethical responsibility. Strategies for addressing power imbalances include educating the less powerful party about their rights and options, providing additional support or resources, such as legal counsel or advocacy, is appropriate, using caucuses to allow the weaker party to strategize and build confidence privately, controlling the communication flow to prevent intimidation or dominance by the more powerful party, empowering the weaker party to articulate their needs and interests effectively, ensuring that any agreement is truly voluntary and not coerced. The mediator's role is not to equalize power, but to neutralize its negative impact on the mediation process, creating a safe and fair environment where all voices can be heard and respected. This ensures the integrity and legitimacy of the final agreement. Emotional intelligence in mediation. Emotional intelligence, EI, is the ability to understand and manage one's own emotions, and to perceive and influence the emotions of others. For mediators, high emotional intelligence is indispensable, as conflict situations are inherently charged with strong feelings. A mediator with strong EI can remain calm under pressure, empathize with parties, and skillfully navigate emotional outbursts without becoming overwhelmed or taking sides. This capacity allows them to create a safe space for emotional expression while preventing emotions from derailing the mediation process. It is about being attuned to the emotional landscape of the conflict. Key components of emotional intelligence relevant to mediation include self-awareness, understanding one's own emotions, strengths, and weaknesses; self-regulation, managing one's own impulses and reactions in stressful situations; motivation, having a drive to achieve goals and a positive outlook; empathy, understanding and sharing the feelings of others; social skills, building rapport, influencing others, and managing relationships effectively; By developing these aspects of EI, mediators can more effectively manage the emotional dynamics of conflict, build trust with parties, and guide them towards constructive dialogue and resolution. It allows for a more nuanced and human-centered approach to conflict resolution. Drafting agreements and follow-up. Once parties have reached a mutually acceptable resolution, the final stage of mediation involves drafting a clear, comprehensive, and enforceable agreement. This document formalizes the decisions made during the mediation, outlining the specific terms, responsibilities, and timelines for each party. The mediator's role is to ensure the agreement accurately reflects the parties' intentions, is unambiguous, and addresses all identified issues. It is crucial to use clear, concise language and avoid legal jargon where possible, making the document accessible to all. This written agreement serves as a tangible outcome of the mediation process. After the agreement is drafted and signed, the mediator may discuss follow-up procedures with the parties. This could include reviewing the agreement at a later date to ensure compliance or address unforeseen issues, providing resources for further support or professional advice if needed, discussing mechanisms for resolving future disputes should they arise, emphasizing the importance of ongoing communication between the parties. While the mediator's formal role typically ends with the signing of the agreement, thoughtful follow-up considerations can enhance the durability of the resolution and support the parties in maintaining their new understanding. This ensures the agreement is not just a document, but a living commitment. Ethical considerations for mediators. Ethical conduct is paramount in mediation, guiding the mediator's behavior and ensuring the integrity of the process. Mediators must adhere to strict ethical guidelines to maintain trust, impartiality, and fairness. Breaches of ethics can undermine the credibility of the mediator and the entire mediation profession. These considerations are not merely rules, but fundamental principles that uphold the value and effectiveness of mediation as a dispute resolution method. A strong ethical framework protects both the parties involved and the mediator's professional standing, ensuring that the process remains just and equitable. Key ethical considerations include impartiality and neutrality, avoiding bias and personal interest in the outcome, confidentiality, protecting sensitive information shared during mediation, competence, mediating only in areas where one has sufficient knowledge and skill, informed consent, ensuring parties understand the process and voluntarily participate, self-determination, respecting parties' right to make their own decisions, avoiding conflicts of interest, disclosing any relationships that might compromise neutrality. Mediators are often guided by professional codes of conduct that provide detailed standards for ethical practice. Upholding these standards is essential for building and maintaining public confidence in the mediation process. Self-care and professional development. The work of a mediator can be emotionally demanding, as it often involves dealing with intense conflict and distressed individuals. Therefore, self-care is not just beneficial, but essential for preventing burnout and maintaining effectiveness. Mediators must develop strategies to manage stress, process difficult emotions, and recharge their own well-being. Neglecting self-care can lead to compassion fatigue, reduced empathy, and impaired judgment, ultimately impacting the quality of their mediation services. Prioritizing personal well-being ensures that mediators can continue to provide high-quality support to disputing parties sustainably. Professional development is equally vital for mediators to continuously enhance their skills, stay updated on best practices, and adapt to evolving challenges. This includes attending workshops, seminars, and advanced training courses, engaging in peer supervision or mentorship to reflect on cases and receive feedback, reading relevant literature and research in conflict resolution, joining professional associations and networking with other mediators, specializing in particular areas of mediation, example, family, workplace, commercial. Continuous learning and self-reflection are hallmarks of a committed professional. By investing in both self-care and professional development, Mediators ensure their longevity, competence, and continued growth in this challenging yet rewarding field. Conclusion: the future of mediation. Conflict mediation has evolved significantly and continues to grow as an essential tool for resolving disputes in an increasingly complex world. Its emphasis on self-determination, collaboration, and durable solutions makes it highly relevant across various sectors, from family and community disputes to international conflicts and commercial disagreements. The future of mediation is characterized by expanding applications, greater integration into legal and organizational systems, and continued innovation in techniques and technologies. As societies become more diverse and interconnected, the need for skilled mediators to facilitate understanding and bridge divides will only intensify. Mediation offers a hopeful path forward. Emerging trends in mediation include online dispute resolution, ODR, utilizing technology for virtual mediation sessions, increasing accessibility. Restorative justice practices, integrating mediation with approaches that focus on repairing harm and relationships. Specialization, growth in niche areas such as environmental mediation, healthcare disputes, and elder care. Hybrid models, combining mediation with other dispute resolution methods like arbitration (MEDARB). Increased training and professionalization, greater emphasis on advanced skills and ethical standards. These developments indicate a dynamic and expanding field, promising a future where mediation plays an even more central role in fostering peaceful and constructive conflict resolution globally. The skills learned in this certificate program are therefore not just current, but future-proof.